I don't know why I'm surprised that Andy Hebert's in the studio and he's bringing out historical documents that should probably be behind glass.
How cool is
so
that?
I'm gonna put away my greasy fingers from my McGriddle and before I touch that.
Fantastic.
Welcome in.
Okay, so for those who are just, what is he talking about? That's the City of Lafayette Home Rule Charter.
Yes, that's the original Home Rule Charter.
Wow. Okay, I haven't seen one of those in 20-so years since now. Okay, so for those who may not know, Andy loves to look at issues. He loves to look at local government. Andy. Okay, so coming up on December the 8th, a month from today, there is basically an item on the ballot that will be asking people to make some changes to our local government. You have had many questions that you have talked about, so we are just dying to know what are some of the things that you have been looking at. Okay, so give us a little history, too. When this all started with consolidation, were the districts really set up kind of fairly?
They were gerrymandered.
Okay.
Very easily. And
okay.
And that was pointed out early in the administration. I went there and said, hey, look, this is not, you're not equal representation with taxation.
Okay.
Or equal.
Yeah, we know what you mean.
And basically that was the premise of my question back then, and some of the council members that are still on were very much aware of that because I brought it up again recently and asked them, hey, why don't you have the City of Lafayette equal population within each district?
So what about, so the next thing, city voters, should we wait until the next census to the next opportunity?
I would.
Okay, and why?
Because if you implement the way they have it set up now, it is being broadcast that the city will have autonomy, that we'll control our destination. And I came up with 30-something items. There are two words that you need to look for in the amendment.
Okay,
in the amended
what are
charter.
they and why?
There are two key words.
Okay.
One is joint and one is both.
Okay.
Where if you have two separate councils, they're both going to have to approve
whatever the issue is.
Whatever the issue is. And there are many things like the mayor's salary. Both councils have to approve the mayor's salary. Both councils have to approve the budgets. Both councils have to approve the operating budget and the capital improvement budgets. And I'm going like, well, that's what we have now, except we have one council.
Do you think it would be a situation that some people would argue, well, that'll just be rubber stamped? Like if the city says, oh, we're going to do this, then the council would just go along with it?
No, because they're going to have to split the finances. So they're going to have to, and as at one of the meetings that I attended where one of the people that were pushing Fix the Charter stated very clearly that the parish council is going to push to keep their money and spend it their way, and the city council is going to try to keep their money and spend it their way. Now, it's going to be a great argument to see how they're going to agree 5 and 5 or 3 and 3. Take that back.
Yeah, that's true, because that's all you
need.
It's
only 3 now.
3 out of 5.
That's right.
So, the next question would be, if it is a situation where the parish will work to keep their money, the city will work to keep their money, is that not a disadvantage for the parish?
Well, the parish has a financial problem.
Big financial problem.
Problem.
And they had a big financial problem in 1992 as well.
Exactly. And the citizens of the city of Lafayette realized that, who are also parish residents.
Yep.
Sure.
Said, yes, this is a problem. Let's merge into one governmental agency. And we voted to merge. And it says it in the Legislative Act. Merge the city of Lafayette government with the parish of Lafayette government. Now, why hasn't that taken place? Because
each municipality wanted their own autonomy.
Exactly. And that's the killer. The legislative, and that was one of the things I was finding is funny, is that we just passed this property tax, a parish-wide. Why didn't they call it a city-parish property tax when we are a city-parish government?
Right.
So they keeping a divide and conquer. We're going to keep you all divided and arguing amongst yourselves.
This is a question that has been raised before about the timing of this. Is there something to the timing of this? And if so, what is it and why? In your opinion.
In
what
my
do you
opinion,
think it is?
It's very easy. If we push to have City of Lafayette equal representation in each 9 districts, and none of the districts have over 60% of their population in the City of Lafayette, there's no LPUA board.
Well, isn't that interesting?
That's
I guess I
the
never
flaw.
thought about that.
That is the flaw in the charter. Now, instead of proposing an amendment that would say we will set up a City of Lafayette Public Service Commission for the Lafayette utility system, separate from consolidated government, that would work excellent. But they're not offering you that amendment.
Okay, go over that again, because we're both looking at each other like, okay.
Yeah, so say that one more time, because that was the whole deal whenever we were been talking about this next-gen stuff for the last couple of months. The thought was that the LPUA would still be, the governing body.
They're the gatekeeper, basically.
That's right.
But wouldn't the other side say you wouldn't need the LPUA because you would just have the city? You would just have the city side, the city
That's
council.
the panic. That's the panic.
Okay.
We're going to panic you into voting for this because of the LUS situation. We're going to set it up.
So now that's gone.
So you have to look at the devil's in the details.
Yeah. Okay, but it is gone
but that's
because.
Done now, yeah.
But what if?
No, it's not gone.
I was going to say that's what I'm saying. It may be gone for the moment because Barnhart has said, okay, we're not going to do this, hands off. But if this ends up happening, that the possibility that this could happen.
Well, let me ask you a simple question.
How people in Lafayette who have paid into this system would then have Barnhart coming and saying, oh, okay, and then what if the council goes along with it?
Well, the question now is, who's the governing authority of LUS? The charter says the LPUA shall be the governing authority of LUS.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a resolution from the LPUA stopping the current issue from being continued? No. It was defeated. So now, will the LPUA duplicate the parish council's resolution saying we want you to stop? And that's what I asked at the council meeting.
And what was the response?
No response.
No response.
No. There wasn't. They could have amended in the LPUA. They could have amended to duplicate the ordinance that the parish passed, which would have said we in LPUA, who are the governing authority, said stop this. We don't want to sell LUS, but they didn't.
So you are very.
So I'm
worried.
asking them now, the LPUA, to pass a duplicate ordinance that sends the same message to our parish president.
Okay, have you contacted the person who chairs the LPUA?
I said that at the meeting and asked them to do it. And I said it at the meeting, at the City Parish Council meeting also, asking for a duplicate resolution.
Mm-hmm.
So
the Fix the Charter folks say it was imperfect in 1992.
Mm-hmm.
It's imperfect now.
Mm-hmm.
And we know it.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a reason not to pass it? Because it's still imperfect. Because still nothing's fixed.
The reason this is not the fix.
Uh-huh.
This is
they say it's not the permanent fix. It's
they're saying the City of Lafayette will have autonomy in its activities. Well, if you read the charter and find those two words, jointly in both,
but do you think
there's no autonomy?
What they're worried about when they see autonomy is in city issues.
They're talking about the parish doesn't have focus on what it's supposed to do. Well, guess what? The 9 are elected by the parish. Why aren't they doing their job? Mm-hmm. They are parish-wide elected officials. They're not doing their job as parish elected officials. Don't blame the city, because the city's part of this government now, for your problems in the parish.
Interesting.
As parish elected officials, why didn't you put a ballot that said the CREATE initiative? They could have take the $500,000 and put that in the general fund of the city, of the parish, and solve the parish funding problem. That would have been a simple solution.
Or at least a stopgap measure?
A stopgap measure, yeah. It could have been a way to get funding. The problem is the parish doesn't have money.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And every time a part of unincorporated Lafayette Parish becomes profitable, it gets gobbled up.
Annexed.
No.
The
property owners who own that property and develop it say, I want these benefits. So they go to those cities and say, I want to join your town.
Exactly.
It's not the town's gobbling. It's the property owners that are saying, I want the benefit, and I'm willing to pay the taxes.
The services.
To pay the taxes, yeah.
Exactly.
And I mean, you would want that, too, if you'd moved there probably.
And that's the history.
Right, and that's the history of it. Okay, so I want to go back and talk just another minute. Under this reapportionment, you maintain that equal city voters in each of the 9 districts would possibly and probably, you contend, create parish districts that would have less than 60% city voters, which means the LPUA authority to govern LUS would no longer exist. Now, why would it no longer exist?
Because according to the current charter,
Yes.
you have to have 60% of your resident population in the city of Lafayette to be on the LPUA board. As an example, District 6 has 100% of city population.
So you would contend that the districts that would be made up, the 5 for the city and the 5 for the parish, if this passes, that they would all have less than 60%. No. Okay.
What I'm saying,
that's why I'm asking
under
again.
the current jurisdictions.
Yes.
If we push without gerrymandering the districts again.
Okay.
If we put equal population city of Lafayette in every 9 districts, according to the population predictions, 52% of the city or 54% of the population of the parish would be city residents. If you put equal amount, then that would mean 54% in each district.
In each district.
Which means you would not have the 60% required for the LPUA.
Okay, but they're talking about going to 5 for the parish and 5 for the city.
Right.
So if they do, would that then not take care of this issue that you're suggesting would be a problem?
And that is the game.
Okay.
The game is, I'm going to use the LUS issue so I can push the devil in the details. And
they can't use that for the December election because there's not anything on the table right now.
No, but they should have what they should have done was put a separate LUS governing board elected only by City of Lafayette residents. That would have been the simplest solution. Okay?
So if they pick...
So what they should have done, and if you read it jointly, if the City of Lafayette wants to do anything to change the Home Rule Charter under the 5 council rule.
Okay. Both have to agree?
Both have to agree.
Both would have to say, okay, we passed this ordinance, and it goes to the voters?
Right, and it takes 2/3 council to pass those amendments.
3 out of 5.
Wrong. 4 out of 5. 2/3.
4 out of 5. Okay.
So that means it only takes 2 council members to block anything.
Interesting.
Go the back way. Okay. So if the City of Lafayette says, we want a mayor, we want to amend the charter to have a mayor, well, they got to get the parish council's approval on that.
Because you contend
the parish,
with these 2 words, joint and both.
And the entire parish gets to vote whether or not you city folks have a mayor.
So what do you think is the purpose behind this?
The purpose behind this is to set up a governing authority for the parish only, where the parish is going to impose property taxes. I promise you. They will be proposing property tax for roads, bridges,
Well, they
drainage.
don't have a choice, really, because they don't have any money.
Exactly.
They have to do it.
And 60% to 70% of those tax dollars come out of the City of Lafayette.
That's correct.
Where a majority of the population of the parish lives. But now we'll be able to get to gerrymander the parish 5 council districts where one council member represents 90-something% of the population of the city, and the other council member represents 90% of the population of the city, and the other 3 council members, who are going to rule 3 out of 5, live outside the city as parish residents.
I got to ask, because I was at the meeting when this was, there was 1 million public speakers. I believe you were one of them multiple times, Mr. Hebert.
Yes.
Where it seemed as if the city, the primarily city council members, you had Jay Castile, you had Kenneth Boudreau, you have several of them. They seem to be the biggest proponents of this. Why would they have such an interest in creating a board just for, or a council just for the parish? Why would they be so behind it if that was the reason?
I have no clue.
Okay. Because that's the part, I was with you the whole time. I could hear everything. But to think that there isn't some sort of benefit to the city in this as well, it makes you wonder why they would even care so much.
The question now is, why didn't they open it up to the public for a longer period of time to discuss? Why didn't they have more public hearings and ask the public? I actually volunteered to help write or look at the charter and see what kind of amendments you could have. You had 3 council members who proposed to amend the charter. You had some council members that weren't even involved trying to pass this. And I'm going like, oh, there's more to it. Then they amend 2 weeks later, they add more issues to the Home Rule Charter. When have we as a public had an opportunity to discuss that? When has the City of Lafayette residents had a separate meeting to discuss how this affects the City of Lafayette?
We did ask that question a little bit earlier on today. We had someone from Fix Your Charter from the group Fix Your Charter, and we asked about that specific thing, the contention that it's rushed, that it's fast, that it's not well thought out. And she talked about several groups who have gotten together along the way in the last several years to do exactly that. Is it because the whole public wasn't involved, is your contention? Because it seems like people have been meeting to talk about this for the last several years.
Who are those people?
Did
they name anybody?
We did not ask for specific names.
Did they say how many were in the group?
Now, when we spoke to her about Fix the Charter, the person we spoke to, she said it was a representative group of about 100 people.
Were they city residents?
No,
Parish residents?
It's all, according to their website as well.
Non-consolidated city residents?
It is people who, people from Scott, Youngsville, people who live in the city limits of Lafayette, people who live in the unincorporated areas. It's a whole big group they say they are made up of.
I wish I would have been invited.
Okay.
So what do you hope happens? What do you want to see happen with the charter? What do you think would be appropriate?
I think we need to merge into one government, Lafayette Parish 1.
But you know that's never going to happen.
Well, sure it can happen. The city of Lafayette no longer exists as an entity. You have to understand that. We merged the city of Lafayette and the parish of Lafayette unincorporated population, right? So the small towns still have their autonomy. So there's nothing to say the city and the parish cannot be one. Very simple. There's nothing to say, why didn't they propose a city, like for the fire tax district? They could have proposed a parish-wide fire tax district that passed a parish-wide fire tax that absorbed all the parish-wide fire districts, including the city of Lafayette, under one taxing district, and solve the problem of those providing parish services. They could do that for everything, but they choose not to, and I keep asking why not.
So all right, and I understand. So
and now the
city,
the city of Lafayette. If you look at geography, it's very simple. Look at geography. They say the city of Lafayette is great and wonderful. We cannot expand anymore. The small towns have annexed all the property around the city of Lafayette, and you cannot jump over the boundaries. Now, if I'm a businessman and I'm smart enough to find a location to make a really good business, I would pick I-10. So, can the city of Lafayette build any more on I-10? No, the land is beyond Scott. Can we do anything on I-49? No, that's Karen Crow's area. Can we do anything on Highway 90? No, that's Broussard-Youngsville area. So the city of Lafayette is within itself stuck with its own tax base. And that's the problem. So if we unite with the parish as one, we're now all parish. And small towns still have autonomy. That's fine. But the city of Lafayette is now one with the parish. We have one property tax, one law for development, one law for home building. Everything's the same. So people don't have to fight each other. And that's where people come down here and say, wait, I don't understand this. You're a consolidated government. These people are not in, but they get to vote on your elected leaders.
Right, sure.
And that's the problem. The problem is not to separate, because you're really not separating. Does the city have a mayor? No. Well, why didn't we have a mayor? If we want to be autonomous just like the other towns and just be like them, then shouldn't we have our own mayor? But they didn't put that in the agenda. Why not? You got to look at the details. And the details are both and jointly. Those are the keys you got to look for.
Now, the people on the other side of the issue contend that this is not the way it's going to work. What do you feel?
It's not going to work this way either. But it's a Band-Aid. Let's just put a Band-Aid on the wound. You're bleeding back here, but don't worry about that. We're going to put a Band-Aid on what we can show you. We're going to use as many city divisive terms as possible. We're going to talk about LUS. We're going to talk about the taxing districts. We're going to talk about anything we can to divide the city of Lafayette population from the unincorporated areas. The fire tax district. Yeah, y'all don't need us. That is where I see the problem. And the problem is you're going to have two separate councils. They're going to have to join together, so you're going to have at least 6 people agreeing on how to spend money, call for taxes, set up legislative acts. I mean, it's insane. And I don't think it's fair to the city. And this is the question I'm going to ask you, citizens of the city of Lafayette. When did you ever get to vote separately? To voice your separate public opinion? You go to the council meetings, and there's a city issue, you only got 5 minutes. If it's a city parish issue, you only got 5 minutes, but you're a dual resident. Why don't you have a separate voice? They're saying we're going to have 2 separate council meetings. No. Look up the word joint. Joint budget hearings. So why should the city council sit for the parish council's budget? How much we paying that attorney to sit and watch? Oh, there's 2 attorneys, by the way. No, there's going to be 3. There's going to be a city parish attorney, there's going to be a city attorney, and there's going to be a parish attorney. How much money is that going to cost you to sit and wait while they have joint meetings with joint people? So why are you paying twice?
Andy Hebert, where do you have a place where people can look at what your contention is about these issues?
You can go to Facebook, and I make comments on taxation. I mean, Lafayette Citizens Against Taxation, Lafayette Citizens for Truth in Taxation, the current.
Mm-hmm.
You can look at those issues. I've made comments on those, and people have said, well, wait a minute, yeah. And that's part of the problem is I'm just one guy looking at it. And I got the technical report from the original consolidation where it said these issues are going to happen.
Back from
and
when
I was just one guy talking.
But you've been one guy talking for a long time.
Well, there's a funny story about that if you got a second.
Yeah, 1 sec. Let's go.
I went to one of the parish hall meetings, and this gentleman walked up to one of the council members and said, man, there's a guy on TV talking about this saying it's never going to work. It's never going to work. And that gentleman, I was standing next to him, and the council member pointed at me and goes, that's that guy. And the guy goes, man, you had a lot of hair back then. Have a great day.
Andy, thank you for your time. And again, this is what we work to do. We work to present ideas on both sides of the issue. People, you go to the polls in 1 month to decide what works for you and your family. But we present you with information. There are also other sources that are out there. So it is up to you. Our job is to present the information.